And it's okay. So yeah, I not really a question, but just saying that I think that I've had the experience of listening to you, what you have to say about what you've written and taking that with me to a performance. And I think it's really valuable. And I think that it's going to be really interesting to see what happens once we get up there.
Well, thanks for that. I appreciate that. And I really enjoyed the process of speaking with Matt's group and with you all, and heard the wonderful performance. I wish I could have been there for that too.
Can I interrupt a minute? Not everybody is within the Albuquerque orbit. Rhiannon is speaking about Quintessence, led by Matt Greer, and they did The Sacred Veil last month. We have people from Farmington, New Mexico, and also Portland, Oregon here. And maybe you want to give them a thumbnail sketch of that piece.
Yeah, The Sacred Veil is another story. This time it's a very personal story of my relationship with my wife, Julie, and our falling in love, and then her diagnosis with ovarian cancer, her struggling with her cancer journey, the crisis of faith that it created, and then ultimately her death, and my healing, my catharsis in writing Sacred Veil. It took me 11-12 years from her death to when Sacred Veil was premiered, for me to be able to say the things that I wanted to say. And Eric Whitaker is the composer, and Sacred Veil represents the most raw, the most vulnerable, the most authentic, the most gut-wrenching, personal journey for both of us, really. And I think it's his finest music. It's just exquisite as a work. And for me, it kind of broke me to write that poem, but in a good way. And I think the poetry that I've written since Sacred Veil has been more authentic, less contrived, more vulnerable, more true. And this piece was taking shape just as I delivered the last texts to Eric for Sacred Veil, is when I began to think about this, yet another major work, multi-movement, profound subject matter, something that I feel very passionately about. And so you're getting to experience what came from my spirit right after that kind of breaking catharsis that I had with Sacred Veil. It's interesting, Rhiannon, that you get to experience both of the works. That's pretty intense from a singer's point of view, but I'm glad you were there. I want to be mindful of all of your time, not to keep you too long, but I want to make myself available for however long you'd like to have me, if there's any other questions that you might have.
Virginia?
This is a ridiculous question.
No.
How do you pronounce Pulaski? What's the first syllable?
Pulaski is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, Pulaski, yeah.
Okay, well, you're wrong, but that's okay.
Okay.
The Pulaski I was thinking of was the doctor on Star Trek: The Next Generation. In the second season, I think, Dr. Crusher left and they got Dr. Pulaski, Diana Muldaur. I love her as an actress, and I think I liked her character. But she was Dr. Pulaski, and that's where that name came from.
Right.
Interesting.
That's hilarious. I think Cynthia said that Cynthia's here on the screen with Walter, and didn't you grow up on a street that had some similar name? So it's just really with you.
Brad, I was just reaching for just to say I had to laugh because not only, first of all, thank you Brad for writing it. Thank you, Tony, for doing it. I'm enjoying it. But I grew up in a little Victorian town, Milford, Connecticut. And the funny thing is, not only is it my neighborhood, but the O'Briens did live across the street from us, and the Larkins did live behind us. And we didn't, the other Polish family was the Piaseckis. They lived 4 doors over. And all of those things, Mr. Larkin loved his grass and his dog. And I mean, I was laughing. I was telling Walter, I swear to God, you visited Milford, Connecticut, little Victorian town. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. And I also wanted to say, because the piece about the old oak tree, wow, Brad, the music, and Tony, you with the words, I mean, it grabs our hearts and sometimes really brings tears to my eye. There's this sort of magic that happens. So thank you so much. And thanks for letting me laugh again. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
That was kind of when Cynthia told me that Tony's got to find out about this.
Sometimes you just hit lightning in a bottle, for one person or for many people. I'm sure, you have this what a wonderful kismet kind of coincidental experience, but I'm sure everybody can connect with something in that text. Even if you grew up in the big city or something, I'm sure there's those kind of characters. Somebody had a question, Mr. Rasmussen. Your first name isn't on there.
Larry.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say this has been a wonderful conversation. My question before we started was one about the process, and I've learned about that and more. And I'm wondering, Brad, whether this will be recorded so that Tony can hear it, because it would be splendid after you've had a chance to hear it, since you won't be at Carnegie Hall then. It would just be wonderful to have this conversation about response to it. To hear both from him and, like we've done here, hear the multiple dimensions of performing and listening and interpreting.
Well, yeah, and you bring up an excellent point, Larry, insofar as also the choir director, conductor, everybody bringing their heart and soul to this, and Bonnie's questions or Cynthia's history with these names or whatever. Yeah, where the synergy comes and the sum can be greater than the total of the parts.
Yeah.
To answer your specific question, there are always archival recordings made, and they won't be widely available, but Tony will certainly get one. I'll get one.
Okay.
I can share it with people, but it's not like you at the end of this you could buy for $15 a recording of our performance. But yeah, we'll make sure that Tony gets to hear that.
Yeah.
And I would welcome an opportunity to talk about it too afterwards if we all want to get back together. I think that'd be fun.
Like, what the hell were you thinking, Brad, when you wrote?
And I really do have to hear it. Brad shared the score with me, and I don't have that kind of choir director's skill of looking at a score and hearing all the parts. I can sing through a line here and a line there, and I can kind of construct in my head rhythmically what's going on. But I have zero piano skills, and so until I hear your recording, I won't be able to conjure what the piece sounds like. So I'm looking forward to it.
One thing that folks should know about you, with your love of the Celtic music and your playing of the squeeze box and that whole he loves to put on the Irish music shows.
Yeah, I'm in a band, and I play concertina, Irish music at a pub every Sunday. We have a session here in Lawrence, and then my band has gigs here and in Kansas City, and it's really fun. And now that you say that, one of the movements is a jig. I had Irish music on the brain when I wrote "What Have We Done," the turba chorus. That's just basically an Irish jig. Having a jig melody and a jig rhythm, da 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 dee da da dee da 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 dee da da dee da da dee da da da. It helped me stay on structure and rhyme for that one. So
Wow.
so there's a little bit of all the aspects of me in this text.
I'm learning quite a bit tonight myself.
Anything else?
Yeah, to Tony's point, we don't want to keep you on out of politeness, but if there are any more questions, now is the chance.
No questions, but I just really want to say I've resonated with this conversation, especially about how, choirs put things out there and we have no idea how it's going to be received. And also the whole experience of putting something together and then finding out that you can't perform it. I mean, I'm thinking of Rosephanie's experience that she talked about with us at FebFest with Angela Milo. This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time. Really resonated with this. Thank you very much. Looking forward to all that's going to be happening.
Thank you, Richard. And Virginia, you look like there's the Super Bowl party has one more question.
Well, this was a question about staging. And so we are all actually, other than Robin and I, we are all wearing our attire. So we came dressed for the occasion.
Oh,
our
we can't quite see you there.
Our colors, yes.
Nice.
So say hello to everyone.
Hello. Wonderful.
So we have a whole room, a whole crew.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, looks good. Yeah.
So when you mentioned staging and so forth, can people bring a stool on stage, or you mentioned, for instance, wearing a stethoscope or an apron or a whatever.
Right. So the thought process, we're going to experiment with this with the Albuquerque group on our Saturday practice. We'll see that the attire is somehow within the boundaries, and I'm also thinking that the choir will be mixed, so it won't be all the basses together, if it's the town meeting, then it's not like, well, actually a lot of dinner parties, the men go over here and the women go over there, but you get the idea, we'll be kind of scrambled. So we're going to have to find a way so that people feel like they're comfortable. It's like if, Joe Schmo likes to be by Jack Smith, because otherwise he can't find his bass note. Okay, but it's not going to be all the basses together.
Right.
And I'll commune a little bit with Virginia and Solveig about their members, and I'm going to work on that with the Albuquerque group. But then, when somebody has a solo or there's a quartet, I gotta figure this out. Actually, I just finished orchestrating the smaller version, like at 5 o'clock today, and then I'm gonna try and scatter people throughout so that they're not so far away, but they're not on top of each other, and people can step down and say, he never came home again, and then step back in, so we can find them on stage, but they don't have to walk 14 steps. So I'm going to have to also figure out real individuals and where they stand. But I don't really see it being elaborate like a play or a movie or something like that, but that those people that need to be found once in a while are not in the very back. I don't know. That's a pretty general answer, but this is the thought process that I got to figure out in the next week or 10 days so that people can have some warning before we get together in New York.
And one of the things I learned for Sacred Veil is less is more. And so you mentioned a stethoscope. I think it's a great idea, but it could easily become somebody has an apron and a rolling pin, and somebody has a stethoscope, and somebody's holding a clipboard, and then it becomes too much. It becomes a thing. And so maybe go up to the edge and then come back a couple of steps to suggest that sort of occupational individual identity. Brad and I also talked about at what point do we cross over from into grand rites. There's no named characters, there's no required props or costumes or anything. Those are the sorts of things that push it from a choral work into a theatrical work, and that's handled legally at Carnegie Hall very differently. And so you have to be mindful of all that too. So that might be a back channel discussion with the DCINY people, just to make sure that
Right.
that it comes close, but not over the line.
Exactly. If somebody's got a chef's hat on and we can't see around them or something, it becomes parody. But yeah, just by not being uniform, we represent a variety of points of view. But we've come together on this important subject.
Love it.
That
Well,
brings
my
us-
friends, yeah,
or 7 or 9.
go ahead, Brad.
I was going to say, it brings us to the top of the hour, whatever time zone you're in.
Thank you all for your time and for your interest and your artistry, your commitment to this piece, your extraordinary commitment to go to New York and to perform it there in Carnegie Hall. It's a singular, thrilling experience to stand on that stage in that space. And so I wish you all the fun and joy and wonder of it. And know that you're bringing something important to life, and the piece wouldn't be possible without you. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Tony. We really appreciate your insights, all the work you did before they ever saw the music, and we look forward to the time that we can all be together.
I'll stick around for a couple minutes after folks leave in case there's any housekeeping and stuff like that.
Okay, and thank you, Ashley, for all the behind the scenes work, for setting this up, and for everything that you will do for us at the end of the month.
You got it.
Have fun, everybody. So Ashley, Rhiannon asked if we could chat a little bit about Sacred Veil. And so I didn't know if you had intentionally quit recording for that, or if that was a finger oops, but I just wanted to let you know that we are going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay, no, I guess my computer didn't have enough space, so I had to empty my computer trash and start it up again. So that's what happened. Sorry about that.
Darn computers.
You're
No
welcome to
worries.
talk. Yeah, you're welcome to talk about it. But so you guys are going to stay on the Zoom right now and keep talking?
If
Yeah,
that's okay.
for a couple
Yeah,
minutes, if that's all
definitely.
right.
Do you want me to I'll probably end the recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Okay.
Save space